Katharine Houghton Hepburn emerged as an unshakable icon of classic American cinema, defining the modern woman of the 20th century through her fierce independence, vibrant personality, and unconventional dress code, often portraying women of strong will and sophistication. She is the only actress in history to win 4 Academy Awards for Best Actress, an unprecedented record. However, alongside her glamorous life and complicated 26-year public relationship with co-star Spencer Tracy, Hepburn's private life was shrouded in secrecy and persistent rumors about her sexual orientation. Was the truth behind that perfect public image a simmering personal tragedy where secret love affairs were buried? Ironically, the media and some biographers have referred to an unofficial list, supposedly kept by Hepburn herself, of 7 lesbian actresses she secretly dated and later hated for reasons ranging from betrayal to breakups. What external tragedy forced a woman raised in a liberal environment and encouraged to exercise her freedom of speech to deny or hide her deepest self throughout her career? And what internal tragedy caused secret love to turn into hate, creating indelible scars behind her proud and carefree exterior? Let's explore Hepburn's contradictory journey, from the height of fame to the tumultuous personal mysteries. Katharine Houghton Hepburn was born on May 12, 1907, in Hartford, Connecticut, the second of 6 children raised by progressive parents. Her father, Thomas Norval Hepburn, was a urologist at Hartford Hospital who helped found the New England Society for Social Hygiene to educate the public about venereal diseases. Her mother, Katharine Martha Houghton Hepburn, was a feminist who led the Connecticut Women's Suffrage Association and later campaigned for birth control with Margaret Sanger. Hepburn and her siblings were encouraged to exercise their right to free speech, to think and debate on any subject they wished. This educational environment shaped her character to fight against all obstacles. As a child, Hepburn was a tomboy, calling herself Jimmy and cutting her hair short. Her father encouraged her children to develop their intellectual and physical abilities, teaching them to swim, run, wrestle, golf, and play tennis. She was passionate about sports, regularly taking cold baths, believing that the bitterer the medicine, the better. However, her early life was cut short by a heartbreaking tragedy in March 1921 when she was 13 years old, when she discovered the body of her beloved brother Tom, who had committed suicide. Hepburn's family denied it was a suicide, claiming that Tom's death was an accident during a test run. The incident left Hepburn anxious, moody, and suspicious of everyone, and she dropped out of school and was tutored privately for many years. She used Tom's birthday as her own for many years, until she revealed her true date in her autobiography, Me, Stories of My Life, 1991. In 1924, Hepburn enrolled at Bryn Mawr College, initially to please her mother. There, despite struggling academically and being suspended for smoking, she found her passion for acting. After improving her grades, she began performing regularly, and the positive response from her leading role in The Woman in the Moon cemented her determination to pursue a stage career. She graduated in 1928 with a BA in History and Philosophy. After graduating, Hepburn was determined to become an actress. Her early career on stage was fraught. She was fired after the first night of The Big Pond for her poor acting and squeaky voice. However, her breakthrough performance came in the Greek play The Warrior's Husband, 1932, a role that required dynamism and athleticism. Her debut performance, in which she jumped down a narrow staircase with a deer on her shoulders, was a huge hit. Hepburn's Hollywood career quickly followed The Warrior's Husband. She moved to California in 1932 and appeared in her first film, A Bill of Divorcement, opposite John Barrymore, and was immediately hailed as a star. RKO signed her to a long-term contract. In 1933, she won the Academy Award for Best Actress for her third film, Morning Glory. Success continued with her role as Jo March in Little Women, 1933, one of the biggest hits of the film industry at the time, and one of her personal favorites. Despite her great success, Hepburn's career suffered a series of commercial failures and public disapproval due to her unconventional attitudes and lifestyle. She was notoriously rude to the press, refusing interviews and autographs, earning her the nickname Catherine the Arrogant. Her boyish style of dress, wearing trousers before they were fashionable, and masculine behavior also confused the public. After the failure of Bringing Up Baby, 1938, the American Association of Independent Theater Owners listed her as a box office poison. However, Hepburn staged her own triumphant comeback. She bought back her contract with RKO and secured the film rights to Philip Barry's play, The Philadelphia Story. She sold the rights to MGM on the condition that she play the lead role. The film was a huge success in 1940, earning her her third Oscar nomination. Time declared, "Come back, Katie, all is forgiven." Her career then became closely linked to Spencer Tracy, whom she met while filming Woman of the Year, 1942. They collaborated on 9 films over 26 years. 1. The Philadelphia Story, 1940. This film is the clearest evidence of Hepburn's self-control and strategic vision for her own career. The character of Tracy Lord was designed to embody a mix of humor, aggression, anxiety, and vulnerability, allowing audiences to laugh at her enough to eventually sympathize with her, which was crucial in reinventing Hepburn's public image. Her huge box office success and Oscar nomination cemented her status. 2. Woman of the Year, 1942. This romantic comedy, about a political commentator and a sports reporter whose relationship is threatened by her self-centered independence, marked the beginning of her legendary on-screen and off-screen relationship with Spencer Tracy. Critics praised the perfect chemistry between the two stars, and she received her 4th Oscar nomination. 3. The African Queen, 1951. In the 1950s, Hepburn began to find her niche playing mature, independent women, sometimes unmarried or widowed, such as Rose Sayer, a tough missionary, opposite Humphrey Bogart. The film was shot largely in the Belgian Congo, a difficult experience she embraced. It was her first successful film without Tracy since The Philadelphia Story a decade earlier, reaffirming her stardom. She received her 5th Oscar nomination for the role. Hepburn continued to challenge herself in the latter half of her life, appearing in Shakespearean stage productions and various literary roles. She won 3 more Oscars for Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, 1967, The Lion in Winter, 1968, and On Golden Pond, 1981, setting a record for the most Oscars won by an actress. Hepburn's personal life was a stark contrast to the image she projected. She married only once, to Ludlow Ogden Smith, an upper-class businessman whom she met while studying at Bryn Mawr. They married in December 1928. Hepburn even asked Smith to change his name to S. Ogden Ludlow so she wouldn't be called Kate Smith, a name she considered too vulgar. She never fully committed to the marriage, always prioritizing her career. Her fiery, impulsive personality clashed with Smith's calm, quiet demeanor. She also had an affair with her agent, Leland Hayward. After moving to Hollywood in 1932, the marriage fell apart. She divorced in 1934. Hepburn later expressed gratitude to Smith for his emotional and financial support, and called herself a terrible pig for taking advantage of his love. Her relationship with Leland Hayward lasted 4 years after her divorce. When Hayward proposed, she refused, explaining, "I like the idea of being a single person on my own." She also had a relationship with businessman Howard Hughes from 1936. Hughes wanted to marry her, but Hepburn was focused on reviving her declining career after being labeled box office poison. The most important relationship of Hepburn's life was with Spencer Tracy, which lasted 26 years until his death. Hepburn said she would do anything for Tracy, and they are considered one of Hollywood's legendary love affairs. However, Tracy married and never divorced, and the relationship had to be kept secret from the public. Hepburn took 5 years off work to care for Tracy when he became seriously ill. Her career slowed during the 1940s as she devoted time to helping Tracy overcome alcoholism and insomnia. Hepburn also made a conscious decision not to remarry and not to have children. She believed that motherhood required a full-time commitment, and she was unwilling to do so, calling herself a selfish person. Ironically, for a woman who was known as a model of independence and self-reliance, Katharine Hepburn's romantic life was shrouded in secrecy and endless whispering. Her fame and extraordinary career were built on a foundation of being forced to deny, or at least conceal, her deepest romantic feelings and relationships. Throughout her life, Hepburn's public image was bolstered by her long-standing, albeit secret, relationship with Spencer Tracy. This affair was central to the public's definition of her love life. As for rumors of lesbian or bisexual tendencies that had persisted since the 1930s, Hepburn frequently used jokes to deflect the issue. For decades, the official Hepburn story was that of a resilient, unconventional woman who was devoted to a married man she could not have publicly. However, the truth began to crack. The contradictions became apparent. How could a woman who fought against all social barriers keep her private life to such extremes? This secrecy, initially attributed to Tracy's marital status, became more complicated as biographers began to dig deeper. In 2007, biographer William J. Mann released a book arguing that Hepburn was either lesbian or bisexual. In response to these rumors, her granddaughter, Katharine Houghton, denied them. "I have never found any evidence that she was a lesbian." Conversely, in 2017, prominent journalist Liz Smith, a close friend, confirmed that she was indeed a lesbian. The discrepancy between the family's denials and the friend's confirmations has created a huge gap in the official Hepburn story. It is in this information gap that rumors of Hepburn's hidden lesbian relationships have flourished. The rumored list of her 7 most hated lesbian actresses who she secretly dated represents speculative, new evidence that sheds light on the emotional tragedies she faced. While these stories are largely based on secondhand accounts or unofficial information, they vividly illustrate the cost of discretion and the pressure to maintain a public image during Hollywood's golden age. 1. Tallulah Bankhead. Described as openly bisexual in private circles, Bankhead is said to have seduced Hepburn with his wit and drama at a party in the late 1930s. The relationship was rumored to be intense but volatile, ending in bitter silence. Hepburn is said to have later called Bankhead a storm of emotions I should not have entered into. 2. Barbara Stanwyck, another strong, independent Hollywood actress. Rumors of a secret relationship between Stanwyck and Hepburn arose in the 1940s. The connection was said to be brief but intense, occurring during a time of personal crisis for both. Hepburn is said to have called Stanwyck a mirror of myself I can't bear to look into, alluding to the emotional toll of the affair. 3. Greta Garbo. The mysterious Swedish actress famously said, "I want to be left alone." However, Hepburn is rumored to have broken through that emotional defense for a brief period in the late 1930s. They were seen at private resorts. Hepburn was reportedly frustrated with Garbo's aloofness, remarking, "She never lets anyone really know her, not even me." 4. Joan Crawford. An ambitious and seductive force of nature. Hollywood lore recounts a complex dynamic that moved from rivalry to romance. The relationship, if it existed, was brief and fraught. Hepburn reportedly found Crawford's desire for fame stifling, while Crawford accused Hepburn of lack of emotional availability. 5. Mercedes de Acosta, the famous playwright and poet, the only one on the list to openly flirt with women. Despite her documented relationships with Marlene Dietrich and Greta Garbo, de Acosta is also said to have courted Hepburn. Hepburn may have kept her at arm's length for fear of being exposed, especially given de Acosta's reputation for revealing her private life. She was a lovely horsewoman, but not someone I could trust with my silence. 6. Judy Holliday. The romantic connection is said to have blossomed at Columbia Pictures, where mutual respect turned into affection. Holliday, who was struggling with the pressures of fame, leaned on Hepburn. However, Holliday ended the relationship for fear of career repercussions, leaving Hepburn feeling betrayed and unforgivable. She chose the stage over the truth, and I can't blame her for that, but I can't forgive her either. 7. Dorothy Arzner, the only female director in the Hollywood studio system at the time, and an openly lesbian in the underground. Although rumors of an intimate relationship remain speculative, some film historians believe Arzner was one of Hepburn's earliest romantic relationships. Hepburn is said to have resented Arzner's refusal to go beyond friendship in public, creating a rift. "She taught me how to command a scene, but never how to declare a heart." This list of speculations, regardless of their historical accuracy, is a powerful illustration of the central tragedy of Hepburn's life, the intense conflict between her true nature and the need to conceal it in order to survive in the Hollywood studio system. 1. Personal and psychological causes. Prioritizing career over personal happiness. Hepburn always prioritized her career above all else. She divorced Smith because of this and rejected marriage proposals from Hayward and Hughes because she liked the idea of being a single person on her own. In an environment where coming out as a lesbian could instantly ruin a career, as Judy Holliday feared, this priority required her to sacrifice her same-sex relationships. Controlling and private personality. Hepburn was known for being extremely private and controlling of her personal image. Her relationship with Spencer Tracy had to be kept completely secret. If she had to keep a legitimate, heterosexual relationship secret, it was even more important to keep a same-sex relationship secret. The hatred on the list may stem from her inability to accept the lack of discretion or fear of exposure, as in the case of Mercedes de Acosta and Judy Holliday. Conflicted independence. Hepburn was the epitome of a woman fighting for freedom, but she was not free in love. She considered herself selfish and a bad mother. This independence, combined with external pressures, led her to choose a closed life where the wounds, such as betrayal or public rejection by Arzner, could not be healed. 2. Social and systemic causes. Pressure from Hollywood. The studio system in the 1930s and 1940s was extremely conservative, and being seen as different almost ended Hepburn's career. It was labeled box office poison. A star was required to maintain a clean image that conformed to heterosexual norms. Any hint of homosexuality was a death sentence. Political and social tendencies. Hepburn was a self-described liberal. She openly supported birth control and legal abortion rights. However, her anti-communist political activities in the 1940s negatively affected her career, leading her to be labeled a dangerous radical. This ordeal reinforced the need for absolute secrecy in her personal life, especially regarding her sexual orientation, to protect the career she fought so hard to regain. The culmination of tragedy was not an accident or a public incident, but the accumulation of broken relationships that were forced to remain secret. The so-called List of Seven, if it exists, represents the moment of no return, where Hepburn realized that while she might defy convention in her work and dress, she still could not overcome the social barriers to same-sex love. Hatred, or more accurately, regret and intense emotional hurt, was deeply ingrained in her. The fact that an actress like Judy Holliday chose theatrics over truth had a ripple effect, forcing Hepburn to close her heart and focus entirely on a safer, though still secret, relationship with Spencer Tracy, a man whose relationship, though complicated, still fit the heterosexual mold. Katharine Hepburn's life was a grand symphony of talent and resilience, from an actress nearly abandoned by the industry to America's greatest cinematic legend. She redefined the image of women on screen and was a fashion pioneer. Yet the story of her secret 7 loves, even if only rumored, remains a grim reminder of the price of fame. It shows that those who fight most fiercely for personal freedom are sometimes the most trapped in their own secret chests, forced to turn their intense loves into wounds that cannot be made public. What questions does the hidden truth of her love life, distorted by rumors and speculative biographies, raise about our trust in public image and what we accept as truth? Have the public and the entertainment system really learned to respect the whole person of an artist? Or are we still demanding that they cut out the most different parts of their lives in exchange for the spotlight? Hepburn's legacy is not only 4 Oscars, but also the echoes of broken hearts in silence, caught in the storm of fame and secrecy.